Hello everyone, welcome to Part 10 US Residency and Match. I'm Dr. Viswanath Aluru from Oxnard Health. I'm an attending physician in physical medicine and rehabilitation. In this video, we're going to discuss about visa requirements for international medical graduates or foreign medical graduates, IMGs or FMGs. Before that, I would like to quickly review some key points regarding the match process. You should know the difference between the main match and a supplemental match, also called SOAP, SOAP. So the main match is something for which you submit your rank order list by March 5th of 2025. Once the programs and the residency candidates submit their rank order list, the main match will happen right after the final match deadline, which is March 5th. So after the final match is over, then you will have option to apply for a supplemental match for unfilled positions if you are not matched or if you are partially matched. Once both matches are completed, the main match and supplemental match, then only the match day happens, which is going to be March 21st, 2025 for this match season. On that day, you will know exactly what specialty you matched and where you matched. So remember that both the programs and the candidates have to submit their final rank order list. And also, please be advised, the programs may not submit all the candidates that they interviewed for the final rank order list. So they might choose some candidates only depending on the number of residency positions available in their program. And also, it's not that all the programs fill their positions by the end of this final match and a supplemental match. There might be some positions available, but you have to contact the programs directly to see if there are any open spots available outside the ERAS season that they are trying to fill before June, because all the residency programs start on July 1st. Most of the time there might be some off-cycle programs that might start later in the year, so you might have to check directly with the programs to see if they still have any spots available after your March deadline for the match. So you can send in the paper documents and then submit your application outside the ERAS application before the start date for that year. So with this, I'm going to move into the visa requirements. Some of the international candidates have asked me what are the visa requirements. Mainly, if you're in the outside the United States, you might have to come to the US for mainly for three reasons. One is either for a clerkship program or an externship program. Number two, for USMLE exam. Number three, if the program wants you to be in person for an interview. So because after the pandemic, so the USMLE program requirements have changed. So there is no longer a step to CS. So there is only step 3 that you might have to come to the United States if you're planning to take that exam before starting your residency training. So, and also most of the programs have become virtual interviews. So there are only few programs that are asking candidates to go in person right now. So if the program is asking you to come to the United States for an in-person interview, then you might have to apply for a visa. So in these three situations, either for an externship or a clerkship or USMLE step 3 exam before residency training and also in-person residency interview, then you have to apply for a visa called B1, B2 or a visitor visa. Keep in mind, there are certain countries that come under a visa waiver program. So if your country comes under a visa waiver program, you do not have to apply for a visa. All you need is a valid passport and a letter either from that program where you're going to for a clerkship or an interview, or a letter from ECFMG for USMLE exam, so that you can actually get those documents on port of entry. So the visa officer will review those documents and then give you up to 90 days or 3 months if your country comes under a visa waiver program. But if you do not qualify for a visa waiver program, then you have to apply to the US consulate in your country for a B1, B2 visa. Please check with your US consulate regarding the wait times for interview and visa stamping, because there might be delays. So you want to make sure you get those things done on time without any delay. So once you have a residency position, once you match into a program, then there are mainly two pathways that you can take to start your residency training in the United States. The first pathway is your J1 visa program, which is the exchange visitor visa program, and the second pathway is your H1B visa program. So what are the requirements for J1 visa program? You need to have a step 1, step 2, and you need to have a UC-FMG certificate, and those are the main criteria, and you need to produce a letter from the program that you matched into a residency program. So once you have all this documentation, then the J1 visa is mainly sponsored by ECFMG, Education Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates. So most of the programs are now preferring or turning to be a J1 programs because it's much easier for the program. There's a less documentation from the program side. It's all processed by ECFMG. So once you have all these documents, the ECFMG will give a certificate that you're eligible to apply for a J1 visa. They will also give you a form DS2019, but you need to apply for a statement of need from your home country. And with all this documentation, the ECFMG will send your packet to the US consulate in your country. Then you have to apply for a visa interview and get that visa stamping. Once you get the visa, J1 visa stamping, it's usually valid for up to 7 years, which is good if you're planning to do fellowship training after residency. You still have the validity on the J1 visa. But if you're taking the H1B route, then the program, the residency program that you matched into, they have to process your H1B application. So for the H1B, the requirements are you need step 1, step 2, and also step 3. In this situation, you might have to come to the United States before starting your residency training on some B1, B2 visa or a visa waiver program to take your step 3 exam, and you need to qualify for any state license requirements. Once you have those things available, then you need to produce a letter from the program that you are accepted into the program. With all this documentation, the program, you have to get a labor clearance first and then file your documentation with the USCIS, and then the entire file will be sent to the US consulate in your country. Then you can apply for a US visa interview and get your H1B. Once your H1B is approved, it's usually valid for up to 6 years. That's how you can come to the United States to do your residency training. If you're coming on a J1, you can apply for a J2 for a dependent visa for your spouse and children. Similarly, if you're coming on a H1B, then you can apply for a H4 for your spouse and children to come along with you. But remember, for a J1 visa holders for residency training, it's exchange visitor program, so there is a visa waiver, or there is a home country rule after residency training. That means you might have to go back to your country for 2 years and then apply again for a work visa, or you have to do a visa waiver program for at least 3 years in the United States in a rural area setting before you convert your J1 to an H1B work visa. But if you're an H1B residency training, once you finish your residency training, then you have to look for another employer which also come under cap exempt, because H1B visas are very difficult to get. So if they are not cap exempt, then you have to find an employer that is a cap exempt to convert your H1B from residency training into your job right after residency training. So these are the main visa types that you have to use in order to complete your residency training. So if you have any further questions, definitely you can all send me an email to my email address viswanath.aluru@gmail.com. I will definitely review those emails and will answer all your questions regarding your residency training and the match process or visa requirements. And if I get too many questions, I would be happy to do another video with the frequently asked questions. Before I conclude this video series, I wanted to tell you like why you have to go through so much of this process, like externships, US MLEs, and then go through all this application process, interview process, match process. Why? Because you might be wondering, sometimes you think that this process takes too long, it may or may not happen, it's not fair for all the candidates. The reason is there's a lot of liability involved with the healthcare in this country. So say for the chairman of a department, the goal is to keep the department as number 1 in the country or in the top in the country, to attract top talent, top faculty, and to attract top research dollars or funding for the department. For a program director, because see, the residency programs run entirely on taxpayer dollars, so Medicare dollars. So they want to make sure that they attract good candidates, make sure that the candidates are able to complete their residency training, they are in good standing, they're able to complete their yearly exams and board exams, so that they don't lose their accreditation status, or they don't lose good standing for the residency program. And for attending physicians, because you work directly under attending physicians, they have to endorse each and every document that you put in the medical records. So they want to make sure that the patients are getting appropriate treatment, they're getting appropriate communication regarding what's going on with their health, and they're taken care of. Everything is taken care of, documentation is taken care of on time, those kind of things. For the hospitals, there's a lot of liability involved. They want to make sure that the hospitals don't get penalized, or there is no problem for their license for the hospitals. So that's why because of this lot of liability issues, there's a lot of scrutiny. That's the reason why you have to go through so many documentation, make sure that you are able to do your job appropriately, do your residency training and complete your residency training on time. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is, because all these USMLE scores, they represent something. Because for example, step 1 represents your clinic basic science knowledge, and step 2 CK represents how you are able to apply your clinical knowledge to the clinical skills, and step 3 represents your actual training ability, your ability to take care of the patients in a real-time setting. So that's why, and also your ability to pass the exam on time, or pass exam with good scores, predict how you're going to perform on the yearly tests in the residency training, also on the boards. That's why the program directors rely too much on these board scores or standardized test. And they also want to see your performance in the clerkships and the letters of recommendations from physicians or specialists, because that's going to tell how you're going to perform in the residency training as well. So that's why this entire process is too long. And when it comes to interview, because some interview is the most important criteria that can make or break any residency application, because they want to know you in person at a very personal level, to know about your personality, your attitude, your ability to carry along with other people in the training, your communication strategies, your time management. So that's why interview is one of the most important criteria, because they want to know in person at a very personal level. So these are all the reasons why this whole process takes too long, and there's too much documentation involved. But at the end of the day, we all want to make sure that we are giving the best possible training. We want to make sure that you are getting the best out of each and every residency program in a very safe environment. So with this, I'm going to end this series. I hope you all gain some knowledge, some good tips about how to apply for residency programs and how to participate in interview and the match process. If you have any further questions, feel free to email me at viswanath.aluru@gmail.com. I'd be happy to answer your questions personally, or another video with frequently asked questions. And I wish you all good luck in your residency endeavors, and I hope to see you all soon in another video series. Good luck.